I know that there's the personal relationships that form, especially for, the top tier of guys that are competing together at international meets or going on teams together and that sort of thing. But as you step outside of that, like, Bjorn, what are the Cal guys saying about like, what's the sense of, man, we hate Texas. Like, what's that like? Welcome to the Social Kick Podcast. We got a really full crew tonight. Fun hangout. We got Luke Paddington, Dr. John Mullen. I'm Brian Lundquist, and we got representatives from the top 3 teams at men's NCAAs. Welcome, guys. We got Adam Chaney from the Florida Gators. We give a little bio on each of you guys. Adam led off the 2 medley and 2 free relays, both NCAA champion relays. Swam on all 4 of Florida's relays, 3rd in the 100 back. Now the 3rd fastest 50 backstroker of all time. Wow, that's crazy. Won the B final and the 50. So thanks, Adam, for being here. We got Drew Kibler from Texas, 200 free champ, 800 free relay champ, 400 free relay champ. U.S. Olympian, came 6th in both the 50 and the 100 at this meet. And Björn Seeliger from Cal won the 400 medley relay, anchored that relay. Fastest ever 50 back lead off, 20.0 smoke. 2nd in both the 50 and the 100. And, of course, Cal Bears ended up winning the meet. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. And, yeah, good to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, cheers. First of all, like, do you guys know each other when you see each other on the pool deck? Have you guys had conversations before? We got to figure out what this dynamic is like on the deck at the men's meet.
Yeah, we knew each other. I know Adam pretty well via the Foster brothers. And Bjorn, I don't know when I met you, but I feel like we definitely got closer in Tokyo.
Yeah, dude. I was last couple of nights in Tokyo. I was just like, Joe, I really like your tattoos. Like, where'd you get them? Yeah. That was kind of fun.
Me and Drew also go back to we went to Pan Packs together.
That's true. Yeah, true.
All right. So I'm curious about this then, because what I remember about being on deck at the men's meet was there was like quite a lot of animosity. And like, I'm not going to say, so I went to Auburn in the mid 2000s, and hate's too strong of a word, but I mean, we did not like Texas. And Adam, my dad went to Florida, so I grew up a Florida Gator, but we did not like Florida once I got to Auburn. So yeah, I don't know. I know that there's the personal relationships that form, especially for, the top tier of guys that are competing together at international meets or going on teams together and that sort of thing. But as you step outside of that, like, Bjorn, what are the Cal guys saying about like, what's the sense of, man, we hate Texas? Like, what's that like?
Don't be too worried. No, it's like,
yeah, what's it like?
It's not too bad. It's the thing is like, both teams are really good, right? And we really, there's this rivalry, of course, every year for the last like 10 years, right? And that's just a tradition we try and keep up, right? We just like show up every year. And the thing with like people like Drew or Carson's of this world, it's like we can really appreciate the work that they put in because we put in the same work. It's like the top guys in each team, they know what it takes, and they give it their all. So this rivalry is like, it's awesome. Like everyone shows up. Like we outscored both of the teams, both Texas and Cal outscored their seeds by like over 100 points, right? So it's always like, we get really impressed and scared when the meet goes on. We're like, shit, these guys are swinging, and we try to swing just as hard, and I'm here for it, So in terms of like in season and I must say it always sucks going to mid-season because, we get shit on, and Texas is sending, so we're always like, fuck that, and yeah, but it's always fun going NCs.
Are you guys talking shit about each other though? Like, what do you think about the cowboy hats?
Be honest now.
No, I mean, I don't know. The cowboy hats are, I couldn't wear it, but I don't have to. I'm just kidding.
No, I guess it's a tradition. It's that kind of thing, right? Because like a lot of teams have like their thing that other teams end up just sort of hating on for no reason other than like if you were in that club, you would be so bought into it just as like if you're a member of that tribe. So, like, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, we don't really mind it. The biggest problem is like when you're at a meet like that, you you get so focused on the other team. It's like I'm counting Texas up and downs more than I'm counting mine up and downs, right? So it's like it's really hard to kind of get away from that, and that's really important though. It's like Dave's always like, hey man, like focus on your swimming. Like I can't control what they swim like, or if they have a cowboy hat or not. So in that sense, like I'm trying to not really think about these things too much, but I think traditions are awesome. Like if you want to do that, you do that. Hell yeah, So
Drew, when you hear roll bears and you see those bear suits, how does that make you feel?
Fired up. I mean, I remember we were sending some messages because we had a good Wednesday night and a good Thursday night, and Friday morning the Cal support fans and everything, they were making a freaking statement in the hotel. And so we're walking down trying to get to breakfast, and you had to literally like walk through a mob. And I think that I've been kind of just processing the meet, and I think that some people get really fired up by that, some people get really frustrated by that, and there's like you kind of have to know what you can use to your advantage and what you have to block out. Because Bjorn's right, it's going to be challenging to get caught up in the other team. And I'm not one to do that too much because I think I got really sucked into it in the past, and I know that's not good for me. But I remember I saw in one of your stories, I think it was Friday morning, it said like Cal 7-up, 5 down or something like that. I'm like, oh dang, that was the first time I'm seeing that. And so I try to keep it out, but seeing the Cal fans are incredible, and hearing the roll on you Bears is one of the worst things you can hear. But again, it's like, I gotta have a lot of respect, for the it took some work to organize that, and it helps, it works. And so respect to the Cal fans for figuring that out, because I know it fires you up when you have a huge army behind you.
Thank you. And it's true. Like the support matters so much, and that's both ways, right? I mean, the problem for us is always like I cannot go on social media during the meet, like barely. Like I can't read swim. I can't do anything because it's always like this pressure of like, they're supposed to do this and we're supposed to be out seated here, and it's like we're just swimming, man. Like we're just trying to swim, and that's like the mentality you have to have. And then the whole supporter side of it, it's crazy. Like literally the entire like section where people sit, it's like 30% of it's Cal, and then 20% of it's Texas, and the rest of the teams are just divided by like the rest of the seats. So it's crazy how people like show up, and people fly out too. It's like depending on how the meet swings, I get like texts, I'm on a flight, I gotta watch, and like Willa Cohen showed up middle day for Texas, and I was just like, oh shit, people are coming out here. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Adam, how about for you guys? As you hear these guys talk, 10 years they've been going back at it, Texas, Cal. How's Florida view getting into that top 2 and eventually number 1?
Well, I think we're definitely on like the outside looking in. But like when we go to SECs, it's like Georgia, or like even like ever since I like started playing sports, there's always like another team. And I think that like it just helps, like, it makes us all swim faster. I think it's great for the sport. I feel like that almost like has to be there.
What was the impact of having Caleb on deck?
I think just he knew like our team was like exceptional that year. So his idea was just he started swimming with us and practicing with us probably during Chris's training. I think right after ISL was like he was full in. And so he just wanted to be there with us on deck.
I know the impact is 0.03 from Auburn's record. That's what the impact was. 114.11. That's ridiculous. Were you expecting that?
I think, we were definitely expecting that. I think we knew what we could do. And, we were all kind of off in the morning too. So, but we've been chasing that one for a long time. So we definitely, we haven't gotten it yet though. So.
I have to be honest, I was like kind of happy I didn't have to go to the press conference and talk to you guys about breeding an Auburn record.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely I don't know if it'll be Florida, but you definitely will next year.
I'll take that. I'll accept it. That's what it's supposed to do. I mean, the NCAA meet has gotten so fast, but like, it's interesting to hear you say, Adam, about like, well, you kind of divert back to SECs and say like, well, at SECs, like, obviously you guys have been dominating that conference for 10 years now or whatever. But like you came out swinging, win the first event of the meet, and then, win another relay. So I don't know about you, but like, I think a lot of people came in saying that these are the 3 teams that are going to be in the mix, but everybody was going to be in the discussion. You never know who's going to show up in the way that they show up. So I'm curious to know from like Drew and Bjorn, did you see Florida bringing the heat and we're like, damn, Florida might actually be like for real this year?
Well, I can say from my perspective that I think Texas and Florida, there's like a lot of relationships there. And so, I keep in touch with Kieran, and Adam. And so there's a lot of kind of, back and forth communication. So we knew that Florida was coming to play. And I know Kieran was kind of talking about that a lot, especially with Carson, that they were going to come out hot. So that was something we were definitely prepared for. But like, I think the only way to be able to, beat your competition is to fully respect your competition. And I mean, we come into it respecting it because, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, we got some in the bag, easy, and then get shocked. You got to respect that everybody's going to be ready to go. And that's kind of what we train for. We don't train for easy wins. We don't train for blowout meets. We train for the close meets. And that's what everybody wants to see. And that's what we want to be a part of too, the nail biters and the drama. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Good point made there. It's like, especially coming off of the Olympic year, a lot of the guys that went to the games for the U.S. team, they weren't really, very fast in the season coming into NCs, both for Florida and for us and for Gators. So we were like sitting there and, like Bobby, even you, Drew, and like Kieran and Bryce for us, they all like, they swam, but they weren't seeded that well into NCs. And everyone was like, yeah, they're not going to, there's no way they get 3 up and 100 free. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, Drew's not going to go, like, he's not going to be slower than like 41.5. Are you kidding me? So it's like, I knew that coming in. That's why I was like, yeah, they're going to fire. And same with Kieran and Bobby, and Bryce showed up too. But that's always an interesting dynamic to where it's like you're saying, you have to respect everyone. And, we know that everyone's going to come out swinging. So, yeah.
This is so interesting hearing this perspective because, like, you always hear, like, you never expect to think that like Cal guys are having that conversation. So that's just funny to me. Like, because we had that too. Like, oh, so how many going to play up here? What are they going to do here? Oh yeah, how about that 200 back or all that stuff?
It's actually insane. Yeah. And like, Bryce was a wild card for a while. He didn't know what he was going to do, and we didn't know either for a long time. And then he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And that's crazy. Like, people are literally saying, they're like, oh yeah, Drew's like, no, there's no way he's winning 2 free. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, he's going to show up. Like, actually, dude. And you did. That's fucking impressive. Like, good for you. It's not, I tell you, it's not easy coming off like a games and then like swimming fast the next year at NCs, and that's really, really impressive. And a lot, like, everyone outperformed their seed in that like sense, right? So it's pretty cool for us to see how, Kieran got up, Bobby got up too. It was cool. Really cool. Well,
so to that point, like, Bjorn, what do you think were the 2 most impressive swims from Texas and Florida at this meet?
So let me think this through. Okay, so for Texas, I was scared after Carson's 4 a.m. in the morning. I was like, shit, that kid is fast. No, 3:33 in the morning. Just swinging. I was like, that's insane. And at that point, we just didn't really know where we were at. Our first individual event of the meet, 5 free, was booty. It was like really bad, right? We didn't get anyone up or down. Texas got 2 up, 1 down, I want to say. And we were just like, shit, So those are like defining moments for that meet. I was like, that's pretty good for them. For Gators, I mean, that 2 free relay, we're like, what? I mean, we didn't think we were going to swim as fast as we did. But I was like leading off, and I was like, damn, it's pretty fast. We might have this, to some degree. And you guys just showed up, Like, that's insane. That was really cool.
Adam, what about you? What do you think about what were you most impressed by from Texas and Cal?
I don't know. That's a tough one. There's a lot of depth on each team. Obviously, I'll probably say Bjorn's 50 free. And then I could honestly say Bjorn again for his 50 back or flipping an 18-9. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then Texas, I could say, Carson's swim in the morning, and Drew's 2 free probably.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I don't know if Drew was happy with it, but I'll give it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Well, were you happy with it, Drew? And what do you think about this impressive swims from these two teams?
Yeah, I'll answer the first one first. I was actually talking to Shane about this today, Shane Costin, and how like sometimes you have to swim a race that you don't necessarily want to swim just because you feel the pressure to win. Because Shane was reflecting on his 2 back against Destin last year, and how he could see a little bit of that in my 2 free, and so. You know, sometimes like if I was in like a random meet or if I was at an invite type of situation and I full sent that, I think I had more potential there. But I wanted to swim a comfortable race that I knew I could win. And if I sit and do long distance per stroke and heavy speed, I know I can do that. I know I can kind of come home hard. And so I'm comfortable doing that. And I know that was gonna like pretty much lock in a win or at least give me a good chance. But I wasn't super stoked at the time because I've big goals for that. But best swims. Florida, I always love watching Adam throw down backstroke. And another thing, just across the board, y'all's reaction times, putting in that work pays off. Especially Eric, that 0050 flies reaction time with the 19.3. That's crazy. And it definitely gives us something that we need to work on a lot more. Because ours were pretty tough. And for Cal, going up and down the whole meet truly was absolutely spectacular. And also, I was really impressed with Destin's morning 2 a.m. Or I don't know if it was the morning or the night, but like, I mean, there's a lot of great swims, obviously, but like the way he went something like 27.9, 23.3 in that 2 a.m. Oh my gosh. Crazy.
It's crazy.
The way that kid comes home is awesome. So those are just a few that come to mind. I'm sure there's so many, there's too many to count, but those are definitely some good ones.
Yeah, that's so crazy. You have one guy who goes 00 and minus 0.03. That's so nuts. I was going to ask, like, what do you guys do to practice relay starts? But Adam, do you actually do relay starts? Because you're leading off.
So I'll just tell you. So we have last year. Our problem was like relay starts. So the whole year, I mean, since NCAA's last year, we were practicing relay starts like over and over and over again. We're to the point where we actually got a pad for the block, and we plugged it in, and it would show our reaction time. So we got it down to like perfection. I mean, we practice it so much, and we take videos every day, and then we ended up. The thing didn't really work actually, and then like the block was kind of messed up, but I guess it worked down then. But no, definitely that was a big part of our training this year.
Yeah,
I think but then that brings it back to like the competition. Like now, since those reaction times, like that's what we focused on a whole year now. Like Drew said, it'll pass over to them, and they'll do the same thing.
Yeah, there's a difference between doing it in practice and doing it in the meet, though. So, I mean, you can see that across the board. There's a reason why.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, for sure. But also, it's also different, too. Like, you can practice it with a stretch cord, too. But, when you shave and taper and, Drew, you pop 18.6 or, Bjorn going 18.2, it's like that's a different kind of speed. And that guy's coming at you way faster.
Yeah.
Then you're used to him coming at you, no matter what you practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's generally just about getting comfortable with it. Like our issue is, I think Texas has a philosophy of just like nonstop hard work, and that really pays off, in many ways. But I mean, we got extremely out detailed in this meet, and like for example, we're working so hard throughout the whole year that there's no time to stop, or at least with with last year's training philosophy, there's no time to stop and do something like relay starts when you're missing out on, aerobic grinding. And so, and that's kind of all I did all year was just like aerobically grind. And a lot of us did that. And so we start pulling out the pads and the touch pads and the block reaction time thing. Like Adam said, 4 weeks out and do them a couple times a week. It's like, all right, we got to do some more of that. And I think we had some impressive relays, and it could have been better, but there's always something more to work on. And I think you come out of every NCAA thinking, okay, this could have been way better. This could have been way better. This could have been way better. So I think that's kind of the nature of the beast, is just kind of dissecting bit by bit what could have been better.
Definitely. We touched on the 200 medley relay. That was, shame on me, one of the biggest surprises of the meet. I wasn't expecting that record to go down right there. Bjorn, what would you say was the biggest surprise for you at the meet?
Biggest surprise for me, hands down, is Hugo's 4 IM. That man is just insane. It's like he shows up after the morning. He's like, man, I don't know if I can go faster tonight. I'm so fast. I don't know if I can do it. And I was like, that's Hugo. And he's like, Hugo's great. I love that guy. But, last year he was down, right? He went to 4 IM and he went to time in the B final that would have won the A final. So he's like, not about that this year. He's like, I'm getting up, goes 3:34. And he's like, I tried so hard. And then at night, it's Hugo, right? And he just goes out. And this is really impressive because I watched the race and I'm like shitting my pants while I'm watching it. But because I just get so nervous, I can't watch swimming. But he touches the first 50. And I don't know if this is right because I just heard it right. But it's 22.3. So he's out in 22.3 in a 4 IM in the first 50, right? And I was like, what? It's so fast. And then he just keeps going and doesn't let off anything. 5,800 breast and just completely dies the last 12 yards. Doesn't matter. He swims underwater literally, but finishes and just 3:32. And that was so insane. I was so happy for him because he deserves it, right? He's been around different teams and had to take a year off when they won 2019. But he really likes it here and he's swimming really well. So I'm happy for him.
Excellent. Drew, how about you? What was the biggest surprise for you?
The thing I don't know if it was a surprise. In hindsight, I don't know if it was a surprise. I wasn't prepared for it. Was Luca's 100 back. Obviously, that was freaking insane. But then I have to remind myself, he was a 45 mid when he was 16 or something like that, and he's been killing it in the 100 back for a while. The man is absolutely incredible underwater, and I mean, yeah. So it's not really that surprising when you kind of take a minute, but nobody was paying attention. I'm like, who is going off in lane 2 right now? What is happening? He flipped it 20.7 to the feet or something like that, and I was like, this is insane. And we were just all going nuts because we love Luca. And, I don't know how you couldn't, honestly, but yeah. So that was a really, really impressive out of nowhere swim that I wasn't prepared for.
All right. And Adam, how about you? What was your biggest surprise?
After Luca's 100 fly, it was what everybody was kind of I remember we were talking what's he going to go in, or after his 100 back, we were like, what's he going to go in 2 fly? He's about to go 135 2 fly or something. And then I think that was my biggest surprise, him getting beat. I guess, I don't know what happened. Maybe he had a bad swim, but I feel like I expected more.
I got a question for you guys. So we spoke to all you guys in a press conference. You came across very calm and confident. I mean, Adam, when I spoke to you up front, you were just relaxed and ready and charged. Drew, you're so well spoken and on top of it and a seasoned senior. And Bjorn, you were just chilled and ready to go. And on deck, you guys look confident. But I mean, I've been on the block and I wanted to vomit on my teammate when I'm anchoring at 400 free, or I'm yawning nonstop because I'm nervous. So I mean, Brian, you have a famous story of your coach telling you to focus on one thing and keep the nerves down. Talk to me about moments when you guys were like, holy shit, I am scared. I'm shitting my pants. Or do you guys have those moments? You must in that race.
Yeah, of course. I think, well, for me, I grew up around sports. It's a big part of my family. So every time, it's something I love to do. No matter what, even if it's swimming, if it's basketball, if I'm at, hitting baseball at the park or anything, it's hard for me to play certain sports because I actually get so nervous. I can't handling a baseball or a football. It's hard for me. So I think though, at the same time, swimming's perfect for me because the more nervous I am, the better I feel and the faster I'll swim.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it all comes down to preparation and just, I guess, what I tell myself matters. And so for me in the 50 in the morning, I was just super stoked. I was like, all right, I'm going to rip a 50. This is fun. I don't have to do a 500. I like this. 18.6, and that was good because I mean, 4 weeks prior to that, I was in 1948 at our conference, and I was like, oh god, because I mean, I didn't change my training this year. I still trained how I've been training every year. I just kind of had to, I guess, race differently, and so I was so stoked about that race, and then I was like, oh man, I have to replicate that, and I don't know how to swim a 50. I really don't, and I don't have a lot of experience with it at all, and I all of a sudden started wishing I was in the 500. I'm like, I know how to do that. This turn comes up so quick. I don't know how to get my foot on the wall and push off right. And I think that was the difference between prelims and finals. Is like it kind of set in that like I'm next to Bjorn, I gotta beat him. And then obviously Brooks came out of nowhere, and he was on in both of his finals. And shout out to him because that was epic. But yeah, so I had a lot of nervousness for that, and it showed in my lack of performance. But the next day in the 2 free, I was a little bit nervous because I knew this was like a good shot for me to, get a big goal of being a national champion. And I just kind of remind myself, like, this is my thing. I enjoy this. And so in the ready room, instead of like having this hype music going and just like being super like dialed in and focused and like trying to like be intense, I put on some of my, favorite songs, and I ended up just taking off my headphones and just talking to Kieran and talking to Matt Sates, I really enjoyed getting to know him. And some of the other guys in the ready room, just to be like, all right, just do your thing, have fun. And that was a totally fearless race. I just enjoyed every moment of that. So, and over the past year, I've been kind of piecing together my best mentality, and I'm learning a lot about cultivating the right mindset to be my best, and unlocking that, I think, is the key to everything. Because so many people are physically prepared, and that means nothing when you're not mentally prepared. And so I'm learning more and more about that, and I'm excited for you to use that knowledge kind of going into even more high stakes meets, because we got a lot of them coming up. Like World Trials is the next one, and so I'm going to take what I've learned at Olympic trials and Olympics and now this NCAAs and kind of apply that there. So
yeah, I can only agree with that. It's like for me at NCs, the morning swims were the best by far, and I always add it at the finals. And that was because the mornings were just like I had to make it back, but I was confident that I could. So it's just relaxed, man. I was just talking to people, like, because you don't have walkouts in the morning. It's just like behind the block. And I feel like, especially the guys meet, a lot of guys are just like, just confused. So we didn't really know what lanes we were in ever. So it's just like you make sure you're in the right heat or lane. You're just talking to people that don't know either. So it's kind of funny. And it's just more relaxed, dude. And then at night, you should kind of come out, and I knew that like it wasn't that important that I would have to win my events, because just like get first, second, or third, that's still a lot of points, But I just kind of like I wouldn't say choke, but it's just like you get more tense. It's just not as relaxed, and it's like you feel like you have to perform versus you want to perform.
Yeah.
So that's something you learn from this year, and I feel like Jude knows all about that too. So it's the same, right? It's like once you're like if I listen to too much music or feel like I have to do something, it just doesn't really work. You have to be relaxed.
Because you don't want to be that guy who makes that mistake, who jumps early and costs that points as well. So you have that in the back of your head in a 19 race, and on day 3.
Oh, my starts were horrible. Like, you can see the difference in my individual starts and then relay. Because once you get the individual done, you get the points, whatever. The relay is just like we were always seated like 10th or 12th, so we kind of had to send it. So I was way more going on those. I kind of that's why I have my best swims too, because it's like this underdog mentality versus. I came in as first in my individuals, right? Like expected to win, and that just didn't really sit well with me, I guess. So something you kind of like have to acknowledge and move on with, and kind of work out for the next year.
Well, let's talk about setbacks, because no matter who wins the meet, nobody gets through without some negatives and some things not going their way. So like you guys had a big one, Drew, with Cameron's DQ, which I kept watching the video and I didn't see him flinch, but that's a huge deal, right? So like, what was there any discussion in the like before prelims the next day or anything about hey, just motivationally on how to navigate that potential loss in points?
Yeah, and I think again it goes back to knowing the person you're talking to and knowing yourself, and if you know Cam, he's like one of the most relaxed people and like chill dudes ever. And it's so funny because my teammate Kobe Carosa was like, dude, look at Cam right now. He was walking out for the 200 medley relay. He goes, he looks like he's asleep, and he just kind of walks out like, oh, I guess I'm here right now. And then he goes an 18-0 with a 0.2 high. And so he's a pretty chill dude, and he rolls with the punches really well. And I think what makes him so talented is like, it's not so talented. He is very talented, but what makes him so good is like he doesn't, make everything into a do or die situation. He's just happy to be there, and he's happy to have fun, and he just wants to be in it. And he doesn't make it too bigger than it needs to be. And so I think that's what made him rebound pretty well from that DQ. He was frustrated, but we knew he'd be okay, and we just kept doing our thing. And I guess kind of our way of handling stuff like that is just like staying positive, not having to be like, hey man, like, how are you doing after that? It's just like, all right, you ready to rip this reel? Let's get it. That was a tough break, but yeah. And I was frustrated. I was very frustrated because I didn't know if he flinched or what happened. But because I was like, if it was just I was literally on the bus home looking through rules like on USA Swimming, trying to figure out if there was any possible way we could overturn that. Because like we did, it's a momentum thing, it's a points thing, and then I watched the video that y'all posted, and I was like, oh, there's definitely a bunch there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, fair enough. It is what it is. It happens. But I mean, I think you just got to roll with the punches. And I remember last year, the best part about the meet was we honestly kind of thought we lost after the first day, the 500 free day. And we were just up in the stands joking like, oh, well, I guess we're saving up for tomorrow. just like making light of everything. And I think it makes it a lot easier to rebound. Because we're like, man, this is tough. I guess we'll get them next year, but we'll be nice and rested for tomorrow. Yeah. And then diving happened, and then our relay won the 4 medley relay, and we're like, oh, let's just freaking send tomorrow morning with everything we had. And so,
what's crazy? It's like, it's kind of interesting to me. That's like, as a team and your guys, you're just like, between 18 and 22, and there's a lot of like shit going on always, like a lot of problems and like things that come up and this and that. And teams are way bigger than at NC's, right? Our team's like 36 guys, so there's much more happening, much more gears turning, and not always positive. And you sit there and you always think like, why us, But this happens to every team, dude. It's like on the outside, like when you look at Texas, looks solid, like nothing's wrong ever, and probably the same towards us. Like we walk in confident, but it's like it's a lot more complicated than that. People like really have to work through some stuff, and like you never see that, and it's so hard. Once you're there, Jesus, you have to show up and you have to score, and you're telling yourself like you do it. Like I swam really well right in those relays, and I finish, and I'm literally like not even thinking about it. I'm like, next race, because it's so important. But you don't really take in those moments. So I think that's really cool to hear that you guys are like a little scared there first day last year. We got you on that one.
That's funny because like this year in the stands, I would say we were all thinking the same thing in the reverse, right? Because Bjorn, to your point, like, you didn't get anybody up in the 500 free. And so we're like, after day one, we're like, shit, Texas, man, they're going to walk away with this. Yeah. Maybe not walk away, but like, I think they got it, But,
I liked last year's mentality a lot better because I think that the general mentality of last year, we were so far behind after that first day. We're like,
we were up 40, dude. We're up 40, or it's like 20, something like that.
And we're like, okay, this might just not be our meet. And so it took off a lot of pressure, and we're like, okay, well, let's just see what happens, I guess. And we weren't even like scared or defeated. We were just like almost nonchalant after that. And I don't know what happened because in 2019, it was a much different story. We were scared. But last year we were just like, oh, well, it is what it is. But this year being ahead, it was totally reversed. I think that made us more scared because we're like, don't lose it. And
because it's your bag to fumble. That's the biggest idea.
Right.
That's really hard, dude.
I like the feeling last year. I think chasing is always better than looking over your shoulder and running from something,
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like there's positive and negatives to being the guy who's supposed to win and the guy who's like not expected to win but challenging, right? It's like an underdog. And it's like very different. You have positives and negatives there on both sides, but we talked about that the last day. We're like, we want this really bad. I know you guys wanted it too, but like we came off the loss and we're like, we really want to win. And I guess that mentality is like, you guys want to stay there. we also really want to win. So it's not a battle of like who wants it more, because that's just bullshit. You know, everyone wants it the same amount for sure, but it's just the dynamics of it are just so different. You know.
Adam, what was the impact of Kieran being a little off on your team?
You could say he's off, but at the same time, he was on those relays where he went 40.9, 18.5. So he carries the momentum, and I mean, sometimes you always can't have a great swim. Nesty always talks about, you know, there's ups and downs in every single meet, and you know, it's all about how you react. So Kieran reacted well, and he put up those times on the relays that helped us win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without him, I mean, maybe we would have got even not top 3.
Yeah, we've been following, obviously, NCs for years. You know, Brian was competing for national titles and all that. And at the time, I'm sure it's, oh, man, swimming's so fast. It's not going to get much faster. Now we're here today, and you guys are flying. Every year it keeps getting faster. Like we saw NCAA records going down. Where do you guys think it's going to be in 5 years? You can pick an event and a projected time. You can give kind of a general what it's going to take to be top 16. Drew, why don't you get us started?
Oh, man, that is tough. I mean, I think it all really comes down to, like, you know, take Caleb, for example. He's what has been called a freak athlete. And so I think as you get more and more of those, you know, freak athletes with these crazy abilities and genetics and skills, like, plus an increased knowledge of the sport and how to use those talents and turn them into skills, like, it's really hard to say. And I think that, you know, swimming's getting a little bit more traction, and that's exciting. And so as it gets more of those, you know, really, really high level athletes that are with, like, let's say 2 free, I think that for the 2 free, we're going to be going like 127 within 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, because if you break it down, like, there's so many people pushing, you know, 18 mids, and that, as a result, like, you have a lot of 40 points coming even more and more. And so take Brooks Curry, for example. You, like, a few years ago, someone like that would never even dare try swimming a 200. And this guy's swimming an 18.5, a 40 point, and then also swimming up to the 200. So what happens when somebody else is, like, a little bit more attuned to that, you know, 200? So you're having more and more skilled swimmers that are, like, pushing the boundaries and being braver and questioning, like, what would normally, you know, be their category that they're stuck to. And so I don't think it's unreasonable for somebody to be out in, you know, a 42 low and back in a 45 high, you know. So at a certain point when that talent meets work ethic. So it's hard to say, but I mean, that I'll speak in the 2 free because that's what I know most. But who knows? Who knows?
No, I like it. Adam, are we going to see 18 point 50-yard backstroke?
18 50-yard backstroke. I think Drew's holding back. I definitely think 125. You know, I think it's gonna. I mean, you laugh now, but I mean, they always laugh. It happens every single time.
Yeah,
I think
in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. There used to be a guy who ran for Ohio State. He ran, and he held his world record for 50 years. I mean, even after they made
Alexis.
I mean, he dug a hole, and he held his world record for 50 years after they even had blocks. I mean, it's gonna just take one person like that. I mean, you don't know how fast he can come and go.
Yeah, Kieran was that guy for the 500, and you know, there's a little bit of a pause on that, but I mean, there's gonna be some 404s and 403s soon.
No, they're definitely chasing under 4 minutes. I mean, who isn't? I bet you could find somebody right now that could honestly go 127, like the guy from London. Like if he really trained short course, you don't think he couldn't go 127?
Who, Duncan Scott, Tom Dean?
No, from 2012. I can't.
Oh, Yannick Agnew. Okay.
Yeah, or
no, he was. Oh, okay. You said from London Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, you could train him short course. I bet he would go 127. Or I mean, you could also put Michael Phelps, train him short course. He'd probably be, you know, somewhere around there, maybe 120.
What could Caleb go right now in a 2 free? Actually, not right now. What could Caleb go in 2018 in a 2 free yards?
I couldn't tell you 200 free, honestly. I could tell you, I think 50 free, he told us 17. I don't think people understand like how much faster he's gotten since like he left college. Like he's gotten even so much faster. He told us, I think he wanted to be 17.4, and then he said now 17.2, and then 16.6 with the relay start. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess what?
Yeah. Or it was something like that. Maybe I got it wrong.
Okay, I'll do it.
You know, yeah, really, I mean, like, so Bjorn, I'm sitting here looking at you going, when I would have said that Caleb 17.6 to me is the best swim that I've ever seen. But like, here you come and go 18.2, and you're only a half second off. So like, you got to be realistically thinking like that's in range.
Well, here's how I see it. I have Marsh as a coach, and it's a great example because Marsh coached the French guys that came over. The first wave of like Europeans that like actually swam fast, you know. Mm-hmm. And he had Fred Biscay, like full bodysuit. That guy's a giant, right? And Fred Biscay goes. I don't know if he's the first guy. I don't know if this is wrong, but he's like one of the first to go under 19 yards, and it is god tier at this point. And he's a full bodysuit. He goes under 19, you know, and he's been 20.9 long course, which is just insane, right? This is a whole other thing. But that point, you just see yards and you see 18, and it's just unheard of, right? And now you have someone go 17.6, and I saw that 17.6, and it's like now as you know, the 18.2 that I went is the second fastest ever. Doesn't feel fast. It's like it's good, of course, but it's like I look at that video and then I look at Caleb's video where he goes 17.6, and I'm like what am I doing here? You know. Like, I better be going 17 before I go out of college, you know, because that's like so much more obtainable, you know. That's what I did in that relay. The last relay we had, the 4 free relay. I was like, I mean, if I ever want to go like really fast on a free, I got to go out. And that's like the theme that I'm kind of bringing here is that people are like getting away from this idea of back halving because they're just realizing that if you're efficient enough, you can go out and still come back. And you have to. Like look at this 2IM this meet. 140.9 doesn't make it back. Are you kidding me? In the A? Like in the 2IM, I was like, what? So then like last year, 41.9 gets like 6th at Ncaa's, and 41.9 doesn't make it to the B this year, you know? So it's crazy how much faster that meet is in terms of like just pure speed up front. So it's like, I was like, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna send it, you know? I sent it and didn't work out on the back end, but I feel like if you want to like really move down towards really fast times, you got to learn how to like efficiently be out fast, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's the key now. I mean, if you want to be like, look at Luca, if you want to be 43 something, you better be flipping 20 points, you know. That's important. And in terms of like 5 years, do I see a 125? I'm sorry, Adam, don't see a 125 in the cards, but
only take one person.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people didn't say 17 was possible either, but
well, I think what you end up seeing is like, so Bjorn, I was on deck when Fred went 18.7. He was my teammate 2 years ahead of me. By the way, we can talk about 5th years, but I think Fred was 25 when that happened too. So it's like,
yeah, it's about to be me next year. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. You in a couple of years. Right? So, but like what happens there is Fred was out in 9.2 and back in 9.4, and like 9.2 nowadays is really slow out. And it was. I mean, even for then, he wasn't out first, but he just smoked the second 25 for the.
That might be the super suit, yeah.
But no, it was a textile arena suit. This was 2005.
No wedge though, you know, that makes a big difference too.
No wedge.
Yeah,
and I think the wedge is worth about a 10th personally, but I think that I think that what you end up seeing is like, you know, you've got people that have the front end like, you know, say Caleb, but he's got the back end too. But, you know, let's say for like they're out fast or they've got the back half, and then, you know, ultimately people learn from each other, and then you have like kind of the next generation or wave that comes through, and they've combined the two. And then that just like keeps repeating itself. And that's how you end up with people that learn from each other and, you know, make these exponential leaps. But like, what I want to know is, you know, it seems like Drew, the last several years we had the 200 free that took a reset because it had been years since Simon Burnett went that 131, and it was just kind of sitting out there. And then we finally saw guys just saying, you know, below 130, let's go straight to 129. And then, you know, Caleb 17 kind of did that too, where he just taking these massive leaps in an event. Adam, you mentioned this on the track side. It's like, which event do you guys think, or which events are ripe for that reset, that are a little bit slow or stagnated, but like haven't made that leap yet?
I still think the 500's got a long way to go. I mean, we hit 408 in, you know, a brief in the 90s and stayed there for a long time until Kieran went 406, and that seemed really fast, but like and it is still very fast. Obviously, it's the American record, but I just feel like there's a lot more to go because I don't know. I mean, I think we're pushing low 404, 403, 402 very soon. And you got people like Matt Sates who are closing in 137 or something like that, I believe. And if he, as Bjorn said, if he finds a way to take it out efficiently, 136, 135, then you got something going there. And in theory, like 48s and 49s shouldn't be that hard to maintain. And obviously I could be saying like, well, if it's that easy, why haven't I done it? And I wish I could swim a little bit more yards, but I'm turning the focus to long course now. But
well, you talked about this in your 200 though, because you mentioned that like your race strategy was in some way dictated by the dynamics of the race and making sure that you could win it. And so, do you think that we're not seeing those times because everybody's racing the field instead of racing the clock?
I mean, certainly. I was a 408.2 in a 500 in a random meet October of 2020, like just because I just swam it in a way that I wanted to swim it, and then by the time I got to NCs, I felt way more prepared. I was actually tapered and ready to go, and I was a 410 because I was like caught up in the action of what's Jake McGahee doing, what's Kieran doing, what's Ross Dant doing next to me. Like it was all this crazy stuff, and so I think another great example of let's bring track back into it. Like sitting and kicking is the way that races are run. Everybody is in a pack. You don't want to be the leader because then you have all this wind resistance, and then it all comes down to the last lap, and you just kick at the end with everything you got. And that is exactly what happened in the 400 free at Olympic trials, and that's why we got in the situation we were in, where Jake went to how to do his time trial, because Kieran swam his own race, and then everybody else, because he had the confidence for it, and then everybody else just kind of waited, and it just so happened that Jake had the fastest last 50, and that was all.
But why does that happen in swimming? Because in track, you've got a real benefit because of the draft. But in swimming, I mean, unless you're Lezak and Bernard, like Bernard towing him along, you don't have that same benefit. That's why it confuses me in swimming. But I don't know. I'm not a 500 guy who also goes 18.6.
There's actually
that's pretty crazy.
There's a
I don't know either. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a video from the Olympics, and it's like the mile, or it's some long distance running race. And like the heats before to make the final, they all were just sitting in the pack and running as slow as they could because they were just waiting for somebody to go out and die and like go off the pace. And like the time that it took to make the final was like so slow because they all just waited till the end.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like that with swimming too. And I'm sure, like I'm big into the mental side of it, and I honestly think that there's a lot of fear in dying and failing in that way. And so even if you swim slow, it feels better to accelerate at the end. Like leading off the relay, leading off the relay on Wednesday night, I closed in my fastest ever time. I added, but I won. And so just because I closed and won my leg of the relay, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, at least I didn't die, right? But if I would have sent it and went a 129.5 and come home in a 24.2 and got beat by Grant and Kieran leading off, I would have been like, I'm an idiot. It's so mental.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I do the opposite there, dude. We're different there. I kind of like just send it and then die and get second twice, but it's a game. No, actually though, like here's a good point. So in swimming, look, like what I do is I will swim, but I don't look. I literally close my eyes. Like I swim, and every time I breathe, I close my eyes, and every time I turn, I close my eyes. So I essentially turn blind, but like at least you see the bottom so you know where you are. But I do that because I get super stressed out by like where I am in the race, behind or ahead. If I'm ahead, I'm like tripping out about being ahead and I'll die. People will catch up. I'm behind, I'm tripping out because I'm behind, So literally like that really is a good example. I was like swimming blind the first 50, and then I turn, and then I look, and I'm like, I'm ahead. This is great news. And then I kind of like close my eyes again, and I just keep swimming. And that's good because it's like, you know how horses, when they race, they have these like blinds on the side so they don't see anything. Like that's me all the way. I'm like, I don't want to see anybody, and that's important because I'm trying to swim my race, and that's the biggest difference. Like you said, when you do these things in October, and like you'd be amazed to see what some of my teammates do in practice. It's insane, you know, but it's a very different thing actually racing people and having to like look at their strategies and then doing your own strategy. Like that's hard. And I cannot even start thinking about how that would be in a 5 because I just race 50 and 100s, right? But same thing. It's like if I want to do my thing, I'm going to do my thing. And I'm not going to look at anybody else because it literally doesn't matter. But that's something I've figured out over years. You know, it took me a long time because before I just used to be like going off of everyone else, which just doesn't work.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't actually developed a real product.
I
don't know what it would look like, but like there's enough innovation in swimming. Somebody's going to develop horse blinders for swimming.
I wish I had him here, but I have goggles that Marsh took from me, and he put tape on the inside. So he tapes the inside half of the goggle glass, so you wouldn't see it because they're mirrored. But I'd literally be like a racehorse. I'd barely see anything, and I'd just be on the block, and it's just like go, and I go. Because when I swim, even if I swim the 50 and I don't breathe, I look down, I still see strokes, right? Because it's like the peripheral vision. But I got all of that out and just kind of did my race, and that works for me. I mean, maybe a lot of people love seeing their competitors just kind of getting fired up, but couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
So when we see the headline, NCAA champion born gets concussion, we know what happened. Is that right?
Actually, it's kind of confusing. You know, there's no like I don't know. Like in Europe, all these pools are consistent in terms of where the tee is. You know, the tee to turn. But in the U.S., it's all over the place. There's tees everywhere, 4, 5, 6 in each wall. You just like don't know where you are. You know, in Atlanta, the one side had 2 tees, and the other side had 1 tee, but it was like 5 yards out. So I was in warm up every day, and I was like, look at the wall. You know, it's like really not up, but like you know what I'm saying. It was just like get that down, but I'm not worried about concussions yet.
John, I'm going to ask you, what did you think about Adam when you heard that Eddie was coming back? He was back on deck because he came back, right, beginning of the season. He was gone and he came back in the season, right? And then conversely, Adam and Drew, what did you think about when you heard that Marsh was joining 6 weeks out?
You got it, Adam.
Cool.
I kind of, you know, I know Eddie a little bit just because of recruiting and stuff and the Fosters, but, you know, I don't know. I don't really think too much of it. You know, I think it's good for them. I definitely think that it helps them, especially like I know they want him to be there. I know they all love Eddie. I know they definitely feel a lot for them. I actually didn't know Marsh was coming back, and I didn't. Or did he ever coach for Cal? Or I honestly don't know.
No, he just like, I mean, the thing is this, that Dave was an assistant. His first years in coaching was an assistant under Marsh at Auburn, right? And then they're separated for like 15 years, and this is the big reunion because our actual assistant Chase is on paternity leave. So he was just in for 6-7 weeks before NC's as a consultant, you could almost say. And it was just, I mean, this was awesome, but they're a good team. Yeah.
It was cool to see him on deck.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but I just agree, dude, is when, I mean, Eddie's awesome. Like, I have to say that, you know, he's like super nice. There's no like beef because I'm on a different team or anything like that. He literally came up my freshman year. We lost, right? And I was kind of like sad about it. Me and Hugo were warming down, and he was coming up and he's like, man, I love watching you swim. And I was like, dude, thank you. Like, I appreciate that because that's, you know, super nice of him. And Wyatt's the same way. Like, shout out to Wyatt from Texas. He's like super stoked. He's always like coming up and he's like, man, might have lost that meet, but you like, I enjoy watching you swim. Like, I just want to say that, you know. And I'm so happy with that because I think that's really important. It's not like, it's not supposed to be this competition of like, you know, who can spit the most at other teams. You know, it's just awesome, and they're happy for us in that sense, and they know they're gonna be, you know, coming back next year swimming. So, and Eddie is just, a little story with Eddie is actually super funny. We're in Minnesota this year for Invite, and you guys are having fun, dude. Like we had fun at that meet, but it's a really hard meet for us. And you guys were just laughing like Texas, right? And they were at the same hotel, and they had a great time. The parents were awesome. And I just opened my phone in the morning. This is the last day, and I see a story, and it's by Carson. And Carson goes, the breakfast of champions or something. And it's like Eddie, or like something maybe that gives you long health or whatever. I don't know what the caption was, but it was Eddie eating breakfast cereal, and it was like Raisin Bran with orange juice in it.
Oh.
And I was dying. I was like, these guys probably have so much fun with that, you know. And that's how I kind of see Eddie from the outside. It's like, you know, it's just this old guy just having a good time with his swimmers and cracking jokes, and that's probably how it is too. Like Drew can probably speak on that, but I was just like fun to see, dude. I was like, he just shows up, doesn't really care, he's gonna have orange juice and cereal for breakfast, and just, you know, have an invite.
He's been doing that for decades, apparently. He swears that once you try it, you'll never go back, and I refuse.
Yeah,
but no,
just like, yeah,
you're right though. He is just always all about having a good time, and I'm sure y'all saw the pictures of like him wearing those like funny glasses or whatever.
And like
he's just and the way it usually starts is like, Ed, if I go this and such event, can I take a picture with you with these glasses or something like that?
Gotcha.
And so that's how it always is, because he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's great, and he's always having a good time with us. You're right, but about Marsh, I didn't know that either. I saw him at the meet, and but usually I'm pretty like unplugged from swimming when I'm away. When I'm away from practice, I try to unplug. I used to be so intense, like painfully intense and dialed in that like it just like drained me really bad. It burnt me out, and so I kind of learned to adapt from that. So I'm a little unplugged, and so I don't really know some stuff, but I mean, I got filled in. But obviously I know Marsh's legacy and what he's known for, and how iconic of a coach he is. So it was pretty cool to see that pair and wonder what was going on, you know, over in Berkeley. But yeah.
All right, I got a final question for each of you guys. Adam, I want to know, was Nesty's 100/100s long course butterfly? Was the legend of him doing that set legit? And has anybody else on the team now done it?
Honestly, I don't know if it was butterfly, but I'd have to ask him, but I think I've heard of him doing it freestyle. And there used to be a girl that would like hold with him too. I can't remember her name though. But they do 10 1000s, and it's fun to watch them do that.
The legend is 10 100s and 110 fly long course. That's a legend.
Yeah, there's like a whole era of other swimmers who have heard this legend that Nesty did that.
Yeah,
it sounds like
it.
I've definitely heard that it's been like a lot harder back in the past. Like when he used to swim, he always tells us stuff like that. But I definitely have to ask him.
All right, Drew, do you have a favorite Eddie-ism?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I have a list of them on my phone, but there is a lot. I don't know which ones I should pick. There's one that was recent that was kind of escaping me, but I feel like I probably should. There's this one time we made a T-shirt that it's gonna sound dumb. It might have been one of those you had to be there moments, but like we just love asking him random questions. And like, I think it was my freshman year, we had a T-shirt that had this quote on it because somebody said, "Eddie, do you think aliens are real?" And he just goes, "People from outer space? Logically, why not?" So, for some reason, we thought that was so funny. We just put that on a shirt, and we're like, "This is awesome." But there's so many, and somewhere on my phone, I probably have a list of some. And obviously, he's been having fun cracking his jokes for 40 years on the pool deck, so there's too many to count. But that's one I remember for sure because we put it on that shirt.
No, that's funny. All right, Bjorn, do you think that Durden is the best whistler in NCAA history?
Oh, you tell me. I've only been to 2, so you've been to more than me. But he gets loud. He really does get loud. He never whistles in practice, I think. If I think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I usually never really like I don't cheer, like I cheer, but I usually always like warm up or warm down. So I'm never really in the team section that often. Yeah. But you just hear it from so far away. So I think it's up there. You know, I think it's up there.
Funny. I was texting Marsh the other day. I'm like, man, I don't know how you stand next to that guy for an entire meet and still have your drums.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, that was fun. Love to get the perspective. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And obviously we look forward to watching, the future success and what you guys do next. So all that talk about what the next few years is like is, you guys are starting it. So
135 or 125, excuse me. 125,
baby.
115, 105.
I'll swim 2-3 next year.
I heard it's going to be Adam doing it too.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Social Kick Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it, and be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment. And subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,